I spent over 100,000 minutes, took 5,000 pictures, sent over 15,000 blue bubbles, not you. And this is the first iPhone that I regret buying. The iPhone 14 Pro Max is my least favorite iPhone of the past 5 years. My biggest issue with the phone has been battery life. And I'm not alone. A ton of you obviously agree. This tweet was viewed almost 1 million times, and the comments in it, people are sharing the struggle. With over 1,800 people commenting and showing screenshots of their battery life, that was way worse than mine. Yeah, I'm not answering that. So before Apple blacklist me for a second time, it hasn't been all bad. The only thing that really made the 14 Pro series unique is actually the one feature that I surprisingly like. Dynamic Island has actually been kind of fun. I think it's still a ridiculous marketing name, but I've actually found it to be more useful, especially as iOS iterations have come, giving it more options. Being able to see when my Uber's gonna be there, seeing live sports scores there. It's obviously not necessary. I can do that on my lock screen or home screen. I actually really like it there, and it makes that area that was just sort of a notch have some sort of utility. It seemed just like Apple's marketing machine trying to make you care about something when it first launched, but it's actually been a feature that I've used more and more. I've been accused of spending way too much time talking about cameras on phones, but this was the giant selling point of the 14 Pro Max. Apple was like, we got more megapixels, it's incredible, we got action mode on here. The reality, it is still a really good camera. But it's hard to tell if it's any better than last year's 13 Pro Max. Just look at these photos. Can you tell me which one was taken with the 14 Pro Max versus the 13 Pro? I would wager that you probably could not. It is marginally better in some areas, but it is not a giant improvement over last year's. I expected a lot from the 48 megapixel camera, and if I had gone in and shot a lot of things in RAW, I probably would have noticed that difference. I think that's where you would see it. If I was doing a lot of digital zooming or cropping, nice to have the extra data, but I don't want those giant photos taking up a ton of storage on my phone. And so but using this as a regular camera phone, I almost noticed no difference versus last year's phone. Apple needs to follow Android right quick. Give us more zoom. Having it 3 times in an iPhone is the best of the iPhone world. When you compare it to what Google's doing, is not even close. Google's on mile 22 of the marathon, and Apple's stumbling out of the starting gate. And that gets me excited for the 15 Pro. Rumors of periscope camera and 6 times zoom, which still doesn't hold a candle to what a lot of Android flagships are doing. But again, in the Apple world, it's the best we have. I'm mostly using my camera for family shots. We're out and about, I want pictures of my kids. I want to capture these moments when they are little. I'm really not trying to take huge artistic photos. I'm not taking 48 megapixel shots. I don't need to take photos in RAW, edit them after the fact. I just want good looking photos from my phone. And don't get me wrong, it's still taking really good photos. It's just not much better than the really good photos I could take last year. I know I made jokes about how far behind Apple was versus Android in the zoom department. But if there's one area where Apple has lapped Android in a lot of ways, it's processor. The A16 Bionic is insanely fast this year, but don't notice much of a difference versus last year's A15 Bionic. And that is the theme with the 14 Pro. It's a great phone. Everything it does is good. It just doesn't really do anything that much better than last year's. So every part of me, when I use this phone, when I use any phone really, every single part of me wants to go naked. But then I remember I got kids and I'm clumsy and I drop my phone all the time. So I've had a variety of cases on my phone. It's pretty much day one. So it looks brand new. It's held up really well despite being dropped 1 million times. I did get a scratch on the screen though. I don't know how it happened. The first probably 3 weeks or so I had the phone. It's still there, still bothering me, still taunting, judging me, but it's been fine. So I'm gonna calm myself down for a minute. This is not a sponsor. This is just a shout out to actually my sister. She's a veterinarian in Los Angeles and she started her own company out of a need. She got 3 kids. One of her kids has curtains in their room and has sleeping problems, and he was always waking up because light would come pouring in. So she created her own company and she created her own product called Curtain Clip Pro. And honestly, she has a brother. I'm really proud of her and what she's done and what she's built. And if you ever have an issue where you have curtains that let a lot of light in, Curtain Clip Pro absolutely takes care of it. You don't have to use like chip clips or try ways to close them other ways with hangers. This takes care of all of those problems. If you're like me and have insomnia, or your kids are waking up and not sleeping, or you're traveling, want to be able to keep your curtains closed, Curtain Clip Pro has been an absolutely amazing way to do it, to keep those things closed. It's easy to use, easy to install. It's available on Amazon, and it's my sister who made it. So show her some love, show the product some love. I'll put a link to it down below. It's a great gift too. I've got several of them. If light's coming in your room or you're worried about it when you travel, Curtain Clip Pro absolutely has you covered. Easy to remove, won't damage your curtains. All the links to pick one up will be down below. I reviewed a lot of phones, and I don't generally say, this phone surprised me. The iPhone has been tweaked and like perfected year over year to the point that for almost everybody, it works like just the way you'd expect. Or at least that's what I used to think. With the iPhone 14 Pro Max, that has not been my experience. The reliability, predictably, that Apple sort of always touts has not been there for me this year in one major, super important area: battery life. Before everybody yells at me in the comments, because I saw this on Twitter, I'm pretty good with batteries. I've been using phones for a few years, and I have not used the 14 Pro Max any different than any other iPhone that I've used. I charge them all exactly the same way. I'm not calibrating my battery life daily. I'm not letting it run down to 0 every single day. I use it throughout the day. I put on a MagSafe charger at night. I wake up in the morning and I go about my business. I've got optimized charging turned on. And generally, at this phase of my phone's life, so a month before the new one comes out, I'm not really thinking about battery life. I don't have much of a reason to go in and check my battery health unless I'm trying to sell it and want to post pictures of it. When I do, I'm typically in the mid to high 90s when it comes to battery health. With the iPhone 14 Pro Max, now a month or so before the new one comes out, I am at 91%. And according to screenshots like this and this and this, a lot of you are even worse with your launch day 14 Pros and 14 Pro Maxes. And I only thought to check battery health because my phone was not lasting me a whole day anymore. By the time I got to 7 or 8 o'clock, I had to go on low power mode to make it through the day. I don't usually spend a lot of time thinking about the battery on my iPhone. I really haven't ever. The only reason I thought to even check the battery health was because it wasn't lasting me a full day. Listen, I know how to use phones. I've been using iPhones for a while, and phones in general for a while, but this has definitely been the worst experience I've ever had with battery life on an iPhone. My wife and I went away to Colorado this past weekend. It was awesome. I had to keep my phone in low power mode just to make sure I could get through the day. That is not the experience that I've expected with Apple. It's not the experience that I've had before with Apple. And I know I made comments about people having worse issues. There was the other side of that equation too. People who have had fine battery life. Battery health at 99%, still getting through a whole day. It does appear in a very unscientific way that there was a bad batch of batteries that went out, that some people clearly have an issue and some people clearly don't. I'm not saying anybody who has bad battery health has bad battery habits. I think in a lot of ways it's a phone's job to adapt to that. But I do think there was definitely a problem with the iPhone 14 Pro and 14 Pro Max batteries that a lot of people experienced. And also, before anybody asks, I have not run iOS 17 beta on my phone at all, mostly because I'm afraid of battery life getting even worse. And you'd think that Apple might address it, say there's a problem, replace your battery, but no, Apple, because they know best, will not replace your battery until it drops below 80%. Don't even think about bringing it in at 80%, they'll send you a pack in. But if you bring it at 79%, they'll take care of it for you. And saying that it's my worst experience with an iPhone, it still isn't a horrible phone at all. In fact, it's probably one of the best phones out there. But in the pantheon of iPhones and iPhone experience, it just hasn't been the best. Hasn't been what I expected from previous generations of iPhones. In keeping with the theme of looking like last year's phone, this phone looks and feels like last year's phone, save for Dynamic Island, which, again, was a fine designed and fine feeling phone. It just doesn't look like anything new at all, or really feel like anything new for that matter. So don't get me wrong, the iPhone 14 Pro has a lot of good, but it's got a lot of not so good. Really more than any other iPhone that I've used before. And it's a fine phone, it's just not really much better than last year's. I am really hopeful though that a savior is coming in just a few months. Also, like for an iPhone, a slightly new design with like smaller bezels and some new materials on the side, maybe some new colors. It might look and feel different, but also the camera. Being able to have a periscope camera with a noticeably better zoom, something that I'm excited to have. That's something that's tangible, that matters to me when I use a phone. So generally when I do these final reviews, my usual like answer is when the new phone hits, buy last gen. So like when the iPhone 15 Pro comes out, buy the 14 Pro. It's still gonna be a really good phone. This is when the first year is like, I don't really think that's gonna be the case. I think if you're in the market for a new phone, wait for the 15 Pros. Wait for the 15. There's enough changes there to make the phone like actually look and feel like a new phone. Battery life aside, the iPhone 14 Pro Max for me has not been a bad phone. It's just been really the first phone that I can't recommend because of my experience with it. Your experience might be very different, and to you, congratulations, but I can only speak at what my time has been with it, how its phone has affected me, how it's worked in the things that I needed to do, and honestly, it just hasn't been that great.